Welcome, amazing friend. What if I told you that real English fluency doesn't start only when you speak, but also when you think? Every day, your mind is talking, planning, imagining, reacting silently. But what if those thoughts could speak English too? Imagine your inner voice thinking, feeling, and dreaming in English, naturally, without translation. Because yes, speaking out loud trains your mouth, but thinking in English trains your mind. And together, they create the kind of fluency that feels effortless and real. In this journey, you'll discover how to reprogram your thoughts to think in English, train your inner voice to sound fluent, feel emotions and confidence in English. By the end, English won't just be a language you study, it'll be the language your mind lives in and your voice expresses. So before we begin, like, comment, and subscribe to English Empire for more lessons that grow both your voice and your mind. Now, take a deep breath, focus your thoughts, and let's start the journey. When we talk about learning English, most people imagine speaking out loud, reading books, or watching videos. But the most powerful, constant, and underrated tool you have isn't outside you, it's inside your head. The secret to mastering a new language faster, more naturally, and more confidently lies in learning how to talk in your brain. You already talk in your mind all day. You talk when you plan your day, when you argue silently, when you imagine the future, or when you relive the past. This inner voice, also called internal dialogue or inner speech, shapes how you think, feel, and act. If you can change that voice from your native language to English, even partly, you begin to reprogram your brain to think in English, not just translate it. Number 1, understanding the inner voice. Before you can control it, you must understand what this voice really is. Your inner voice isn't a sound in the air. It's a simulation of speech created by your brain's Broca's area and Wernicke's area, the same parts used when you speak out loud. When you think silently, your brain activates these speech centers, but blocks the movement of your tongue and lips. It's almost like whispering inside your mind. That's why when you talk in your brain, your body sometimes makes micro movements, a slight jaw shift, a soft hum, a twitch of the tongue. Now, here's the key insight. Your inner voice speaks the language of your strongest mental habits. For most people, that's their mother tongue. This is why when you try to think in English, it feels forced or slower. Your brain keeps translating from your first language because that's what it's used to. But neuroscience shows that the more you use your inner voice in English, the more your brain's speech and memory circuits adapt. Over time, it stops translating and starts thinking directly in English words and structures. That's exactly what native-like fluency feels like. Your thoughts and words move together. 2. The translation trap. When you first learn English, you probably build every sentence by translating into your native language. At early stages, this process helps you survive in conversations, but it also slows you down and builds a mental barrier. Translation forces your brain to go through 3 steps instead of 1. 1. Understand the idea in your language. 2. Find English equivalents. 3. Construct the sentence. This method works in classrooms, but fails in real life because speaking is fast. By the time you finish translating, the conversation has already moved on. That's why many learners say, "I can understand, but I can't speak quickly." The real reason isn't a lack of vocabulary. It's because they never trained their inner voice to speak in English automatically. The goal, therefore, is to replace the translation process with direct thinking in English. You can't silence your inner voice. You can only retrain it. 3. The science of internal repetition. To think in English, you need to use a method called subvocal repetition. This means silently speaking words in your mind without making sound. Studies in cognitive psychology show that subvocal repetition helps strengthen your memory of a language. This process works through something called the phonological loop, a part of your brain that temporarily stores sounds. For instance, when you hear the word elephant, your brain holds the sound elephant for a short time in this loop. When you repeat that sound silently in English, it keeps the loop active and helps connect the meaning of the word directly to the sound. If you were to repeat it in your native language, your brain would instead link it to the sound patterns of your first language. Here's the key. Start thinking in English sounds, not just in English letters. For example, instead of thinking beautiful equals its translation in your native language, think the sound beautiful when you imagine something beautiful. This process makes your brain directly connect meaning to the English sound, without needing to translate. It's the same way children learn a language. They don't translate. They simply connect what they experience with sounds. 4. The silent conversation technique. Let's go practical. How can you start talking in your brain right now? You can begin with what I call the silent conversation technique, the art of holding a dialogue inside your head in English, like a friendly rehearsal. Here's how it works. 1. Choose a moment of silence. Walking, showering, cooking, waiting for a bus. 2. Imagine a conversation between you and someone, a friend, teacher, stranger, or even yourself. 3. Ask and answer questions in English, silently but clearly. Example: How are you today? I'm fine, just a bit tired. I didn't sleep well.
4. Don't worry about mistakes. Your brain learns from usage, not perfection. 5. If a word is missing, describe it with what you know. Instead of microwave, say the small oven for fast food. 6. Repeat the same dialogue daily until it feels natural. After a week, you'll notice something surprising. Your mouth starts to want to move. That's your speech muscles syncing with your mental voice. It's a sign of progress.
5. Building English thought habits. When you're learning a new language, like English, you don't just memorize words. You need to practice thinking in English. To truly become fluent, you need to start replacing the sentences you normally think in your native language with their English equivalents. Here's how to do that. 1. Think in English instead of your native language. When you have a thought in your native language, try to replace it with its English equivalent. For example, instead of thinking in your native language, "It was a good time," try thinking, "It was a good time," in English. Instead of thinking in your native language, "I want to make tea," replace it with "I want to make tea" in English. Instead of thinking in your native language, "He is a good person," switch to thinking, "He's a good person" in English. 2. How this helps you. At first, it might feel awkward or slower because your brain is used to thinking in your native language. However, this process gradually strengthens new pathways in your brain, making it easier to think directly in English without needing to translate. 3. Why it works. By replacing your native language thoughts with English, you train your brain to think in English more naturally. Over time, your brain will stop relying on your native language as a middle step and start processing thoughts directly in English. 6. The emotional connection rule. Thinking isn't just about logic. It's emotional. When you think in your native language, your emotions feel deeper because words are connected to your life experiences. For instance, when you say home in your language, it brings warmth, memories, family. But when you say home in English, at first it feels flat, just a word. To fix that, you must build emotional associations in English. This makes your brain believe that English thoughts are real and alive. Here's how. Watch emotional scenes or listen to music in English and feel it. Don't translate, just feel. Write short daily reflections. I'm proud today because I finished my work. Use English when expressing real feelings, joy, anger, love, sadness. When something funny happens, think, "That's hilarious."
instead of your native reaction. This emotional use locks English deeper into your long-term memory. You stop seeing it as a foreign code and start experiencing it as your own voice. 7. The mirror mind practice. Another technique to train your mental speech is the mirror mind practice, visualizing your face and speaking silently to it. Imagine looking into a mirror and saying, "You can do this. You're improving every day. Don't give up." This may sound strange, but it connects two key systems: visual imagination and inner dialogue, creating a multi-sensory memory. You're not just thinking, you're seeing yourself think. When you mentally visualize English sentences with emotion and body expression, your brain records them as experiences. It's similar to how athletes visualize moves before performing them. In neuroscience, this is called mental rehearsal, and it activates nearly the same neural circuits as real speaking. So even if you're silent, your brain is practicing fluency. 8. Reprogramming the voice of fear. A big challenge when thinking in English is the critical inner voice, the one that says, "You sound stupid. You made a mistake. You'll never be fluent." That voice blocks natural flow. Ironically, it's also your inner speech, but used against you. To overcome it, replace self-criticism with gentle correction. When the thought says, "You're wrong," reply mentally, "It's okay. I'm learning. Mistakes are progress." This trains your subconscious to stay relaxed and creative, instead of defensive. You begin to trust your English voice, and that confidence spreads into real conversations. 9. The input echo technique. To make your mental English stronger, you must echo what you hear in your brain. This is how children learn. When you listen to English, a podcast, a video, or someone speaking, repeat short parts silently inside your head. For example, you hear, "What's your plan for tomorrow?" Immediately, your brain repeats, "What's your plan for tomorrow?" Do this frequently. Don't worry if you forget. Even 5 seconds of echo strengthens your auditory memory and makes the phrases feel familiar. After a few weeks, you'll start predicting English phrases automatically. Your brain will begin talking by itself.
10. Language immersion without sound. You don't need to live abroad to immerse your mind. You can create an English mental environment anywhere by setting small rules. Name objects in English silently. Cup, window, sunlight. Narrate your actions. I'm washing my hands. I'm opening the door. Imagine subtitles in your mind when thinking. If you practice this daily, even for 10 minutes, you're giving your brain the same stimulation it would get from being surrounded by native speakers, because your inner voice becomes your teacher. Thinking in English is not a gift, it's a muscle you can train. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. You don't have to replace your native voice completely, you just have to let the English one grow until it becomes your natural mental companion. 11. Language substitution. Changing the default code. By now, your inner voice is no longer a stranger. You've learned to hold silent conversations, repeat phrases mentally, and describe your world in English. But the next step is more subtle. It's about changing your default mental language, the one your thoughts naturally use before you even notice them. Your mind runs on a linguistic code, your native language. Every time you think, plan, or feel, that code shapes how your brain organizes meaning. So when you begin using English as your default inner language, you're not just speaking differently, you're perceiving differently. This process is called language substitution, intentionally replacing your automatic native language thoughts with English ones. To train it, 1. Notice when a thought appears in your first language. 2. Translate it calmly into English even if imperfectly. 3. Feel the same emotion using the English version. 4. Repeat until the English form comes first next time. At first, it feels slow, even strange, but after a few weeks, you'll notice something powerful. The English thought will appear without translation. You'll catch yourself thinking directly in English about simple daily things like, "Where's my phone?" or "I should call him back." That's the first sign of deep cognitive adaptation. 12. The thought substitution cycle. Language substitution follows a predictable mental loop, the thought substitution cycle, made of 5 continuous stages: awareness, translation, emotion, repetition, automation. Let's break it down. Awareness. Notice what language your thoughts use. Awareness activates the observer part of your brain, the first step toward control. Translation. Convert the thought into English without worrying about perfection. Emotion. Reconnect the feeling to the new English phrase: joy, surprise, anger, pride. Emotion gives language meaning. Repetition. Each repeated use strengthens the neural pathway. Eventually, your mind begins to choose English by default. This is how bilingual thinkers operate. They don't translate. Their brain switches automatically depending on the situation. You can achieve the same, not through memorization, but through mental conditioning.
13. Inner storytelling. Narrate your life in English. Once you can replace individual thoughts, you can expand your practice through inner storytelling, narrating your daily life in English, as if you're the main character in your own story. For example, while walking to work, Silently tell yourself, "The air is cool this morning." "I'm walking faster because I don't want to be late." Or, before sleeping, replay your day in your mind. "Today, I learned something new. I spoke confidently, even though I was nervous." This transforms your thoughts into structured sentences instead of scattered words. It trains your grammar, vocabulary recall, and sentence rhythm simultaneously. Storytelling also activates your memory center, the hippocampus, making your English more durable. Over time, you'll find that when you speak aloud, the same natural flow appears because you've already rehearsed it silently hundreds of times. 14. Self-correction without fear. Many learners freeze when they hear mistakes in their mental English. But mistakes are messages. They show where your learning is growing. The key is gentle correction, not criticism. Imagine you think, "He go to work." Instead of saying, "I'm wrong," calmly correct it, "He goes to work." Then repeat both mentally, the wrong one first, then the right one. This contrast strengthens your mental grammar map. The goal isn't to punish yourself, it's to tune your ear for correctness the same way a musician trains to hear pitch. If you practice this daily, your accuracy will improve, even when speaking aloud, because your inner grammar teacher will always be guiding you silently in the background. 15. Multiple inner voices, mental dialogue simulation. Once your mental English becomes stable, you can challenge yourself by creating multiple voices inside your mind, not in a strange way, but as a training method used by polyglots, actors, and diplomats. You might create two versions of yourself. Confident you, "Let's try saying it again." Shy you, "But what if I make a mistake?" Confident you, "It's fine, just speak naturally." This internal role play sharpens your reflexes, helps you think faster, and trains emotional responses in English. You're rehearsing real conversations before they happen. The next time you talk to someone in English, your brain already knows how it feels because it's been there mentally. 16. Thinking with emotion, not translation. True fluency isn't about knowing more words. It's about feeling the words you already know. Emotional thinking in English means connecting feelings to English expressions directly, instead of translating your native emotional patterns. For instance, when you think, "That's hilarious," smile and feel the humor. Or, "I'm so proud of myself." Feel the pride inside your chest. Or, "This makes me sad." Acknowledge that emotion using English words. Each emotional repetition teaches your brain that English isn't foreign. It's a real way to express your heart. Over time, your emotional vocabulary grows automatically. You'll say things like, "That's annoying," or "I feel grateful," with the same natural comfort you'd have in your first language. That's when English stops being just a subject. It becomes part of your identity. 17. Visual auditory fusion. See what you think. Most learners only hear their inner English, but if you want to think deeply, you must see your English thoughts too. This is called visual auditory fusion, imagining pictures while speaking silently. For example, think of the sentence, "The sun is rising above the mountains." And now picture the scene: golden light, shadows, calm air, while hearing the sentence in your head. This exercise connects your visual imagination to your English brain. It makes your thoughts vivid and emotionally charged, which dramatically improves memory and fluency. You can apply it everywhere, describing your breakfast, visualizing future plans, or imagining dialogue in movies. Your brain loves multisensory learning, and this technique gives it exactly that. 18. Mental environment engineering. Talking in your brain in English works best when your surroundings quietly support it. You can shape your mental environment with small but powerful adjustments. Change your phone or laptop interface to English. Label objects in your room: door, notebook, charger, lamp. Keep short motivational sentences on your wall or mirror, like "keep going." Think English first. Spend silent moments cooking, walking, driving, narrating your actions in English. These cues keep your brain's linguistic attention focused. Even if you don't speak aloud, your subconscious keeps repeating and reinforcing English thought structures. 19. The inner coach method. You can make your inner voice your coach, not your critic. Instead of negative commentary like, "I'll never speak well," turn your mental speech into encouragement. "I'm learning more every day." "It's okay, I'll fix that next time." "I'm proud I tried." This positive self-talk reduces anxiety and boosts motivation. Psychologists call it cognitive reframing. Changing the language of your inner dialogue changes the emotion of your learning experience. When your internal English voice becomes kind and confident, your external speech naturally follows. Remember, the tone of your thoughts is the tone of your speaking. 20. The echo and predict technique. One of the most effective mental habits for talking in your brain in English is echo and predict. Whenever you listen to English, podcasts, movies, YouTube, even random sentences, do this. 1. Echo short phrases silently in your head. "What's going on?" Repeat mentally, "What's going on?" 2. Predict the next possible word or phrase before it appears. For example, if someone says, "I don't know if I should," your brain guesses "go," "stay," "tell her." This keeps your inner voice actively engaged with real English rhythm and logic. Over time, you'll start finishing other people's sentences mentally, a strong indicator that your thinking patterns have become truly English. 21. living in silent English. The highest stage of this journey is when English becomes the natural language of your thoughts. Not all the time, but during most daily mental activity. You narrate actions, describe emotions, solve problems, and even dream in English occasionally. At this stage, you don't translate. You think directly in phrases, not words. You feel English grammar without analyzing it. It doesn't mean you've lost your first language. It means you've gained a second mental world. Your inner voice becomes bilingual. When you switch languages, your personality slightly shifts too. More precise in English, perhaps more emotional in your native tongue. That's not confusion. That's cognitive flexibility. It means your brain is now fluent at the level of thought. 22. The silent shift toward true fluency. When you first start this mental training, it feels like effort. But soon it turns into habit, a quiet background hum of English in your mind. You'll catch yourself silently correcting yourself, predicting dialogues, or mentally rehearsing phrases before you even notice it. This is how fluency is truly built, not by studying words, but by living them mentally. The moment you realize your brain can think, feel, and respond in English naturally, you'll understand. You didn't just learn a language, you learned a new way to exist in thought. 23. Deep visualization, speaking to your future self. By this stage, your English thoughts are no longer strangers in your head. They are part of your daily life. But to reach true fluency, you must begin using your inner English voice to shape who you become. One of the most powerful techniques for this is deep visualization, imagining yourself speaking English confidently, fluently, and effortlessly in real-life situations. Visualization isn't daydreaming, it's mental training. Neuroscientists have proven that when you vividly imagine an action, your brain activates almost the same neural pathways as when you perform it. This means that every time you visualize yourself speaking English clearly and confidently, you're strengthening the same circuits responsible for real speech. Here's how to apply it. 1. Close your eyes and imagine your future self standing, speaking, smiling, and thinking in English naturally. 2. Add details. Feel your body posture, your breathing, your calmness, and the flow of English sentences. 3. Hear your voice clearly in your mind. Don't just imagine the sound, imagine the feeling of control and clarity. 4. Repeat this image daily, even for a minute. Soon your brain starts believing that this version of you is real. You're no longer pretending to be fluent. You're becoming fluent internally first, and that identity later appears in your speech. 24. Emotional layering. feeling English at a deeper level. Thinking in English is not only a mental exercise, it's an emotional training. Each emotion has a rhythm, tone, and vocabulary, and you must learn to feel them in English to achieve authenticity. Try practicing emotional layering, consciously combining emotion and language to strengthen both memory and confidence. When you feel joy, say in your mind, "I love this moment." When you feel stress, think, "I can handle this." When you feel anger, repeat calmly, "Take a breath, I'm okay." When you feel sadness, tell yourself, "It's fine to feel this way." By expressing feelings in English at the exact moment you feel them, you connect the language to your emotional brain, the limbic system. This makes English emotionally alive, not just academic. You stop treating it as a classroom language and start living it as a language of self-expression. Over time, English words will begin to carry feelings naturally: love, pride, frustration, excitement, without translation. That's what emotional fluency means. 25. The shadow mind technique. After you've built your inner English voice, the next step is to connect it with your physical speech. The shadow mind technique is a silent imitation method that merges mental speech and muscle memory. Here's how it works. 1. Play a short English video or podcast. 2. As you listen, repeat everything in your mind at the same rhythm and pace as the speaker, like a shadow following them. 3. If the speaker says, "I really didn't expect that," you mentally echo the same phrase instantly. This exercise links your auditory memory, hearing, and motor memory, speech movement. Your tongue doesn't move, but your brain sends signals as if it did, creating a virtual rehearsal. Practicing this daily for even 5 minutes sharpens your listening, pronunciation, and sentence rhythm simultaneously. You'll soon find that when you speak aloud, your sentences sound more natural, not because you memorized them, but because your brain already practiced them silently hundreds of times. 26. Subconscious programming through repetition. Your subconscious mind doesn't understand grammar. It understands repetition and emotion. The more often you repeat a thought with feeling, the deeper it sinks. You can reprogram your mind to think confidently in English using affirmative inner repetition. Try repeating these silently during quiet moments. I express myself easily in English. English is part of my daily thinking. I learn faster every day. I'm becoming fluent step by step. The goal isn't to lie to yourself. It's to create new mental expectations. Repetition trains your subconscious to stop treating English as a foreign language and start treating it as familiar territory. Over time, your inner resistance, that small voice saying, "I'm not fluent enough," becomes weaker, and your new identity as a confident English thinker grows stronger. 27. Dream conditioning, when English enters sleep. An advanced sign of deep mental fluency appears when English enters your dreams. You might hear English conversations, signs, or voices while sleeping. This doesn't mean you're dreaming in full sentences. It means English has entered your subconscious network, the same system that controls habits and intuition. To accelerate this, practice a short sleep conditioning ritual. 1. Before bed, read or listen to something short in English. 2. Reflect silently in English. What did I learn today? How do I feel tonight? 3. As you drift to sleep, keep one simple English phrase repeating gently, like, "I'm relaxed and improving every day." This trains your sleeping mind to associate English with calmness and safety, not stress or confusion. After some weeks, your brain may begin organizing thoughts and dreams in English without effort. 28. Automatic flow state thinking. When your inner English voice becomes natural, you can experience what psychologists call a flow state, when your thoughts and words merge into one smooth stream. You're not consciously forming grammar or vocabulary. You're just thinking freely. To enter this state, choose a quiet environment. Think about something interesting, a plan, a dream, or a reflection entirely in English. Don't judge mistakes or grammar. Focus only on continuity. At first, the flow might last 20 seconds before you lose it. Later, it can last minutes. During flow, your prefrontal cortex, the area that monitors self-judgment, relaxes, allowing natural language production. This is the same state musicians enter while performing. Their thinking and expression become one act. If you reach this state often, speaking aloud will become effortless because your brain has already learned to generate ideas and sentences fluidly in silence. 29. The three-layer method for brain fluency. You can think of your English-speaking brain as a system of 3 layers working together. 1. The conscious layer, where you deliberately think, plan, and correct. 2. The subconscious layer, where automatic habits and emotional responses form. 3. The intuitive layer, where fluency happens without awareness. Your goal is to move English from layer 1 to layer 3. Here's how. Start consciously, layer 1, repeat words, correct grammar. Reinforce subconsciously, layer 2, listen, visualize, feel. Achieve intuition, layer 3. Think naturally without control. This process mirrors how children learn their first language. The secret is patience. Your brain needs thousands of micro-repetitions to move patterns from effort to ease. Every time you talk in your brain in English, you're climbing another step toward intuitive fluency. 30. Mental journaling. Writing without writing. You don't always need a pen to journal. You can do it mentally. Mental journaling means reflecting in English silently, summarizing your day, thoughts, or goals using structured sentences. Example: Today I handled everything well. I was nervous at first, but I stayed calm. Do this when walking, driving, or showering. It strengthens narrative thinking, your ability to organize ideas logically. Over time, your inner monologue becomes your thinking diary, constantly training coherence and structure in English thought. You can expand it creatively, too. Mentally write imaginary emails or social posts in English. Imagine giving advice or teaching something. Reflect on your mistakes. What could I say better next time? Your brain doesn't care whether words are written or spoken. What matters is the mental structure you build. The more you construct sentences in English mentally, the stronger your linguistic logic becomes. 31. The identity shift. Becoming the English version of you. One of the most fascinating parts of thinking in English is how subtly it changes your personality. You might notice you're calmer, more direct, or more polite when thinking in English. That's not acting. It's because each language carries cultural patterns and emotional tones. As you continue talking in your brain in English, your mind gradually creates an English identity, not replacing who you are, but expanding it. You start having two versions of yourself coexisting peacefully. One that feels at home in your native language, another that thinks, dreams, and expresses ideas in English. This identity shift is the final bridge toward true bilingualism, when both voices in your head are natural, confident, and authentic. You're not pretending to be someone else. You're discovering another dimension of yourself. 32. Inner silence, when thought becomes understanding. Eventually, after long practice, you may notice moments of quiet, times when you don't need words to understand English. You feel it instantly. This is the highest stage of language mastery, silent comprehension. When reading or listening, you no longer translate or form inner sentences. Your mind absorbs meaning directly. It's like understanding music without analyzing the notes. But don't rush to reach this stage. It comes naturally once your brain trusts English completely. The path there, the thousands of small inner sentences you've spoken silently, is what makes this silence meaningful. 33. Living as a bilingual thinker. At this level, your brain can switch languages smoothly, depending on mood or situation. You think in English when you study, work, or reflect. You think in your native language when you feel nostalgic or emotional. This ability to move freely between languages is not confusion, it's mental richness. You've trained your mind to process life through multiple lenses, each giving you new perspectives and ways to express yourself. Thinking in English no longer feels like effort, it feels like choice. And that choice is the ultimate freedom, the power to live, feel, and think in more than one world. And that's the truth, my friend. Fluency doesn't start only with your tongue, but also inside your mind. Every silent thought you shape in English brings you closer to real confidence and natural fluency. So keep practicing, keep thinking, and let your inner English voice grow stronger every day. If this journey inspired you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to English Empire, where your thoughts become your power. Until next time, think English, feel English, live English.